Respect, then get up on the bus. Sending big love to the LGBTQ plus. All the pronouns are good for we/us. I'm white, I'm entitled, feeling kinda guilty, aware of the privilege that historically built me. So let's hit the beach and get ready to party. We're doing our best to subvert the patriarchy. I wanna start that party. Fellas, come and help me to subvert the patriarchy. Recognizing the biggest thing that's missing is this. Say what? We fellas ain't listening. I tell you what makes all the fellas wanna holler. Hey! Talks by the feminist director Joey Soloway. What's the female gaze? Well, I'm sad to confess it. The cis males never gave a chance to express it. Turns out we've been looking at the world through a lens that's specifically white and specifically men's. It's literally never seen another point of view. I've been complicit in that. I want to change for you. I wanna start that party. Fellas, come and help me subvert the patriarchy. Recognizing the biggest thing that's missing is this. We fellas ain't listening. Balls at the bar and they're having a drink. And fellas, yeah. Well, you know what we think? We think it's none of our business. Cause nobody wants us to perpetuate a woman's state of feeling self-conscious. Dancing and singing and moving to the groove. And just when it hit me, somebody turned around and shouted, listen to my people, white boy. Listen to folks not like you. Work the body, work the body. It's inviolate, sovereign territory. It belongs to you, not to anyone else. And you should always love it as a part of yourself. And fellas, if the ladies are quite hard to attract, maybe you should think about smartening your act. If a woman turns you down, then you really should thank her for helping you to turn into much less of an incel. Incel, yeah. Take your right hand, yeah. Now you're incel, yeah. Back your right hand, yeah. It should only be used for getting jiggy and wiping, and never ever used for typing. And by the way, incels, you're not a thing. So come on, I wanna start that party. Fellas, come and help me to subvert the patriarchy. Recognize it. The biggest thing that's missing is this. We fellas ain't listening. So sorry for all of the cultural legacy stuff we thought was cool back in the day. Now beggars belief when you hear all the terrible attitudes. I hope you won't take the song as empty platitudes. I promise to work harder, I promise to learn. Respect is something that you have to earn. I never meant to put myself front and center, and I think that I should try to be more absent. Stop the party. Subvert the patriarchy. Stop the party. Subvert the patriarchy. Stop the party. Subvert the patriarchy. Stop the party. Subvert the patriarchy.
The gigs have all dried up lately. The royalties are reasonably steady, but nobody's looking at me. It's time to give my ego a feed. So I decide to rank the races, imagining the snowflakes' faces. We all agree the best is African American, but why didn't the Germans make the top 10? Cause the honey's too white to mention. Meanwhile, I'm loving the attention. I said the honey's too white to mention. Come on, let's feed some racial tension. Working class British musicians at number 2. A close that is Jamaicans, well done you. You're in at number 4 if you're an American Jew. At 5, flamenco gypsies, me gustas too. But the honey's too white to mention. Too white to mention. Forgive my condescension, yeah. But your mom is too white to mention. Even though the Irish made the top 10, yeah. Everybody look at me now. Pay me some attention now. All right.
have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of God hates you all away. God hates you all away. God hates you all away. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda ata ata rata dede bata santa ala ampo osa tata rite eke bata ata rite yanda. Africa right now, Africa right now, Africa right now, from Africa right now. They're coming here, they're coming here. In the name of Jesus, from South America, they're coming here, they're coming here, they're coming here, they're coming here. From Africa, from South America, angelic forces, angelic reinforcements. Ika hata anda ata, ora bata rata, ande eke eke manda rata ta. And strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, until you have victory. Strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, until you have victory. Strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, until you have victory. Strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, and strike, until you have victory.
Yeah. You want some champagne? Why not? Let's have a party. That's what we do. Sir Philip Green. Money machine. There's nothing obscene about pouring champagne all over your daughter, Sir Philip Green. Sir Philip Green. Let's not be mean. You should not sell your yacht to pay back the pension fund like you oughta.
I have written a hit record.
Botty. 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 Yup, yup, yup. Botty. 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 Yup, yup, yup. Yup, yup.
We're doing a thing about a thing that's trending that everyone's talking about. We're doing a thing. We're doing a thing about a thing that's trending. That thing is our thing now. We'll stick it on the net and we will not forget to hashtag it for luck. We're doing a thing. We're doing a thing. And predictably enough, it ends with the word free Britney. Shouldn't be too long now. Just about a minute to go, something like that. Do you think he's all right? He's fine. Do you really think he still gets nervous? Yeah. It's not like anyone even really cares. Like, whoa. I suppose he has to attach meaning to it, doesn't he? For the It should be any second now, really. How nice. How self-congratulatory. Really got to do something about that jingle. Hello. Happy Monday to you. Gosh, it's good to be here. I can see that Mic Wright is ready and standing by. And I said his name right. We were bedding in last week. But we're getting there now. What a weekend. What a vote. The world of music, of course, taken by storm over the weekend as people voted in their droves and voted for Horny with a Chick. I'm not talking about Eurovision. I am, of course, talking about the podcast with David, your cousin Davey, on Friday, where he played some demo tapes and you voted. I mean, statistically, it's very unlikely you did. You probably didn't, but some people voted. You might be one of those people. For the best one for us to kind of produce up and make good. And you voted for Horny with a Chick. Slightly frightening, definitely psychotic tune. I'm not entirely comfortable with, so I'm overriding it. There you go, like Belarusian airspace. It belongs to me now, and it's not going to be Horny with a Chick because it genuinely distresses and disturbs me listening to that, and other people too, I think. I'm going for Suddenly. I promised you a kind of Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block kind of remix of it. Boom, 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 boom. That Suddenly. With definitely a rap middle eight. And that's what I want to do. I listened to it the weekend and I was like, I want to do that. I'm sorry to make the poll meaningless, but thanks to Davey for unearthing those and also for sorting out the poll, which I didn't get round to doing because I was doing stuff. Did you watch the Eurovision though? Very much another one of those years where it's like, no, Mum, I want to paint my bedroom black and it's going to be awesome and you don't understand. You're in the Eurovision Song Contest. You can't possibly be cool. Just embrace it. But that's fine. They can do that. I remember 25 years ago, I worked in BBC Radio, and Radio 1 got given their own building, and it was so that. It was like, I'm going to paint my bedroom black, and it's going to be awesome. All these hot young things strutting about like they were important. I'll tell you a quick story, because I feel bad. Mick is waiting, but quick story. I did some stuff at Radio 1. I wrote some sketches for like Chris Moyles and people like that, and Zoe Ball and stuff. And I did it with a guy who made all the promos, the trailers. A brilliant man called Grant Buckerfield, who ended up doing the music for I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and now just spends his life roller skating because that's all you really need to do with your life is write that one tune. I've written literally thousands of tunes and I make pennies a year. Anyway, point being, we had a meeting with the Breakfast Show producer, and Grant wasn't really feeling his job. He's just like, I'm doing remixes of Fatboy Slim. I'm sort of bored of this job. Anyway, he said, let's make up a word to do in the meeting, to say in the meeting. And I said, okay, image tunnels. And we sat down and had breakfast with the guy, and who's saying, yeah, we really need to punch up the show, guys. Really need some new stuff, some new jingles and stuff. And Grant, and I'd forgotten all about it by then. And Grant said, okay, so you want some more jingles, yeah? He was like, we really need some. Okay, cool. And do you need some beds? Do you need some new? Yeah, definitely need new beds. Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. What about image tunnels? I don't know if you ever felt orange juice coming out of your nose. It's quite acidic. But the guy, not a beat, just went, oh, God, yeah, but just as many as you can. Please. We need some image tunnels. What a lot of bullpucky that was. Anyway, I'm delighted to bring back the one and only Mr. Mic Wright, who's right here. Hello.
Hi.
Not only that, you're almost fully in frame this time, which is a really good feeling. Hello to everybody.
Almost fully in frame.
Almost fully in frame. I think you're in frame. I think it's fine.
Well, I seem to be in frame in the picture I have.
That's a classic. It's leaving me okay. It's leaving me okay. I'll send you some tone. It's fine. It's good.
I fully blame you.
Have you had a joyful, restful weekend?
I guess so, yeah.
You work 7 days a week, is that right?
I do. I write. And I guess if you say carving out a newsletter every morning is work, then yes.
Yeah.
But, no, I went for we had a roast. Went to a pub for a roast yesterday. Watched Eurovision the night before.
There you go. That's...
I was supporting the Russian entry.
Oh yeah,
because she
she's kind of amazing, isn't she?
From a sort of a door in a massive dress. It was excellent.
I thought they were going to do a Russian doll thing. I thought she was then going to open her own chest and another, like a girl would come out.
A small
and then a
version of
fetus.
herself,
And then just some sperm. And an
I
ovum.
feel like that's a bit too Cronenberg-esque for your
Look
even
who
the
won!
dark
Come off
universe.
it! Look who won!
Yes, well.
Are you a sort of, do you embrace the Eurovision? It sounds like
yes,
you do.
we got dressed up for Eurovision. I put a suit on. It was
Amazing.
fully. We had a banquet, all sorts.
Yeah, I do silently judge people who don't like Eurovision because I think
it's just great. Brilliant. It's just good fun.
Yeah, and I love that Graham Norton cries every time because I cry every time. And it was nice to see a crowd, wasn't it? Like after all this time.
Yes,
nice
no,
to see
it was.
A crowd.
It was.
I mean, God
and
knows.
the production was amazing as well. It was actually a very well-produced show.
I was timing it out, and so they've got 26 acts they've got to get on, and you imagine how many bays they must have. Like there was a guy with a life-size replica of the moon above him. It was life-size, and I timed it because they play the little postcard thing between the acts to give them time to clear the stage and reset it. Do you know how long it was from when they cut away from the stage to when they cut back? 54 seconds.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's insane. Anyway,
there you go.
We've got a fun new sort of kind of game show, kind of throwback, fun nostalgia TV format show thing that's definitely going to sound over-rehearsed to do. Based on something you wrote on your brilliant what is it? No,
it's a newsletter.
It's
It's just that the newsletter is available online afterwards.
There you go.
But yes, it goes out as an email first.
Okay, there you go. That based on which is well, I tell you what, we'll start because loosely this is all about kind of BBC bashing, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, it's about I looked at what are people who are making a big deal of attacking the BBC over the Martin Bashir, admittedly pretty appalling behaviour by Martin Bashir 25 years ago. What were they doing 25 years ago?
That's fantastic. Shall I play the jingle and we can... Actually, no. Let's start. So we've got 3 people that we're going to play this game with, or 3 entities. And so let's start with beloved Prime Minister and family friend of yours, Boris Johnson.
Overstuffed bin bag, Boris Johnson.
So what's he been saying about the BBC then?
Oh, so Boris got him. Johnson, I never call him Boris on its own. It's a very wrong thing to do. So
it's
he
disrespectful.
Said, speaking to in a pool interview, he said, "I'm obviously concerned by the findings of Lord Dyson's report. I'm very grateful to him for what he's done. I can only imagine the feelings of the royal family, and I hope very much that the BBC will be taking every possible step to make sure nothing like this ever happens again."
Yeah, never ever. Okay, well, shall we now find out?
Where were they 25 years ago and what were they up to?
Yes, where were they 25 years ago and what were they up to?
Well, in June 1995, a recording of a 1990 telephone conversation between Boris Johnson and his friend, the convicted fraudster Darius Guppy, was made public. And in it, Guppy said his activities in insurance fraud involving a fake robbery, which he was found guilty of in 1993, were being investigated by a News of the World journalist called Stuart Collier. And Guppy asked Johnson to get hold of Collier's private address and made it clear that he intended to have the journalist beaten up. Boris Johnson agreed to give him the information, and his only real concern was that he might be linked back to the attack.
Nice.
When the phone conversation was published, he claimed that while he said he would help Guppy, he actually didn't. And he just got a slap on the wrist from the editor of the Daily Telegraph at the time where he worked, and went on to continue to make up a load of lies about the European Union, including one about smaller condoms because of Italian concerns.
And there was the guy. Who was the guy? The European guy who was like almost on his deathbed, but still.
Yeah, Willie Helen was a former European Commission spokesman, and he was still raging about the load of old bullshit. His quote from his hospital bed, and he told the Guardian a few years ago. We were not interested by sizes. We had requests from medical institutions across Europe check on the safety of condoms. That had nothing to do with the size of dicks. All the journalists went on about comparing the size of penises in Germany and in France. It's about safety because so many doctors are interested to know about the risks for AIDS patients. Boris Johnson was the paramount of exaggeration, distortion, and lies. He was a clown, a successful clown.
But Johnson has that somewhat Noel Edmonds-esque approach to illness, doesn't he? Which is he kind of feels that it's all about a PMA, positive mental attitude.
Yeah.
And that if you get ill, well, that's your own silly fault, isn't it? So I would have thought when it comes to something like AIDS,
he just lied his way to becoming editor of The Spectator in 1999, and then continued to lie, including about multiple affairs, till he became Prime Minister in 2019. The biggest stage for lying.
Great guy and beloved family friend, Boris Johnson there. Let's find out how The Sun reacted. It's Britain's brightest and lightest paper, read by family, friends, and family friends everywhere. You're all pals. How did they respond to this?
Well, odious pub bore Trevor Kavanagh wrote last week, the corporation's concocted pack of lies was surely a criminal act. So where are the police? Has anyone from Scotland Yard ordered a mob-handed dawn raid on Bashir's home and the seizure of his computers and personal documents? Will Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer demand the arrest of former Director General Tony Hall for conspiring in fraud to save his, Bashir's and the BBC's necks? After all, that's what he did as a state prosecutor in 2012, dragging dozens of innocent Sun journalists through the criminal court for publishing true stories that saved lives. There is no such thing as an innocent Sun.
I was going to say it's slightly oxymoronic, that as a phrase, isn't it?
Yeah. Trevor Kavanagh, by the way, has been with The Sun since 1978 and was its political editor from 1983 until 2006. So there's some context for you.
That sounds good. But the question is...
Where were they 25 years ago and what were they up to?
Yes, what was The Sun doing 25 years ago?
Well, in the run-up to the Bashir interview, it was running the headline "Dynamite," and then after it, it ran the headline "Diana Hewitt was my lover," royal TV sensation. And then the day after the Queen ordered the divorce, it went with a lavish divorce special, and then followed that up with a.
I love a divorce special. That's of all the sort of souvenir part works, that's the one, isn't it?
And now talking about how the BBC has been very disrespectful to Prince Charles. Its headline at the time, and the top right-hand corner of that front page, was "Bye bye big ears." The Sun captures the mood of the nation.
Wow, that's special, isn't it? I mean, I'm guessing Spitting Image was still around at the time, wasn't it?
1996.
Very different times. Very different times.
6.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that all sounds fine to me. I feel like you're just being selective there, Mick, with your stuff. I tell you what, let's move on. Let's have a look at beloved Daily Telegraph stalwart and family friend. Do you know my uncle was on This Is Your Life once. When Derek Jameson was on This Is Your Life, and that's dating it somewhat. He got a walk on. It's very exciting. Anyway, sorry. Yes, Charles Moore. What's he said? He's probably pretty cool with it.
Well, Charles Moore said, "In its self-righteousness, the BBC cannot see that it often behaves like a liberal version of Steve Bannon, with the added advantage of a compulsory licence fee."
Wow. I'm trying to define what a liberal version of Steve Bannon would be.
Alistair Campbell.
I mean, you're very liberal with your definition of liberal.
Well, yeah, he thinks he's that. Remember, he's a contributing editor to the New European, so...
There you go. All right, well, but the question is, when it comes to Charles Moore...
Where were they 25 years ago and what were they up to?
yes. Where was Charles Moore 25 years ago, and what was he up
25 years ago, he was still looking like Sam the Eagle from the Muppets, and he'd just become editor of the Daily Telegraph, a paper he went on to edit for 8 years, and to which he still clings like a tick on the arse of British public discourse.
Mick, I'm just going to say to you right now, that quote about Sam the Eagle, 25 years from now, that's going to come back and haunt you.
No, my dad's still got a full head of hair, and he's in his 60s.
No, it's not. Just saying, you can't slam them for bye-bye big ears. If you're coming down hard in 25 years' time.
On Charles Moore, I'm pretty sure that Charles Moore's not going to do anything worthy of praise, even if he lived to 1,000. Anyway, so what was he doing? They went, even the Daily Telegraph, back then a bastion of the establishment, went with, "I had an affair," says Princess. She pledges, "I shall fight to the end. I won't go quietly." And they splashed on it multiple days, and they would have gladly taken the scoop that Bashir got if they could have got their whole hands on it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
There you go. Well, that's been a thrilling and, dare I say, quite moving game to play with you.
Catching up with our family friends, with our selection of our family
beloved
friends.
family friend. I get really frustrated with the kind of the endless BBC sniping. Like, it comes back to what I was saying about the Eurovision and Radio 1. I'm going to paint my bedroom black. And I find it so pathetic. The people who were lifers at the BBC, your John Humphreyses, and even latterly your Simon McCoys, where it's like, you had a great ride for many decades. You took the money and you kept your mouth shut. You didn't seem to mind. And then the minute you were out the trap, you couldn't slate them fast and hard enough.
There are so many of them. And then you've got people like, there are certain sort of fixed BBC bashers out there. Like, there are ex-producers and stuff who always are phrased as veteran, BBC veteran and stuff. And they've been in the Telegraph for years. Like, who's the one? I'm just trying to look up, because I wrote about specifically one of them who was doing this recently. And all he ever writes is things criticising the BBC. It's like, it can become a job. You leave the BBC and then you go, "Oh, it was awful, yeah. I was great, but it was, nest of vipers."
Yeah. Who there was a BBC Watch column?
That was Charles Moore, who
Charles
set that up early on in his time there to point out things that he found were hypocritical, which just meant things that, the Telegraph thinks that the BBC just sort of didn't. Because the Telegraph was in a position to be able to say whatever it likes, because it is not regulated in the same way the BBC is. It's self-regulated by Ipso, the most useless regulator in the world. And also you've got Piers Morgan. You've got Piers Morgan out there, a man who has managed to turn a blind eye to many press scandals. Happened to be at the Daily Mirror, but never, ever, ever noticed any phone hacking, even though he mentioned extensively in his diary as the insider how one might go about doing it. I mean, I heard how to do it, but I just... But I never saw or experienced anyone actually doing it.
No, and that's absolutely fine. Didn't report it. Didn't. Well, thank you so much for taking us through that. You are truly the Eamon Andrews / what's his name? Michael Aspel. Depending on what generation you are.
I guess I'm a Michael Aspel one.
Yeah. Me too. Thank you very much. Where can people go and actually read your brilliantly written thing and many, many others?
brokenbottleboy.substack.com, or just find me on Twitter @brokenbottleboy, where you will find those things.
There you go. Mic Wright. Oh, thank God, I got it right. I got it right? I got it right.
You got it right. You're right.
Oh,
you
thank
did
God.
get it right.
Thank God. Oh, God. Thank you so much. Would you next week, shall we?
I will see you next week for more skirting the line of libel.
Let's hope we skirted the right side. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
On the YouTube, of course, people watching this live. It's youtube.com/nottodaypod. Julie says, now I can only think of Boris Johnson as a clown producing a bunch of feather flowers from oversized zany trousers. Oh, God. It's not a feather. Jane says, well, I made Boris as a clown for a guy-making competition at a bonfire night gathering a couple of years ago. He had a huge spotty bow tie and massive shoes. Oh, wow, it's turning into a trope. I bought a cheap cloth mop for his hair. I'd quite like to see that, Jane. Would you? It's Not Today Pod. No, it's not. Yeah, on Twitter it's at Not Today Pod. Mix on the chat on the YouTube if you want to ask him anything. Here's some news for you though. Not today at swanburst.com. That's the email. If you would like to tell me more about how you see Boris Johnson. But not today at swanburst.com is also a PayPal address. Some people, Patreon, it's a bit of a commitment. It's a monthly fee. I mean, it starts at just £2 a month. But I completely understand, in the somewhat precarious climate that we live in, you might not necessarily want to make that kind of monthly commitment. But maybe you've had a good month. Maybe you've, particularly enjoyed an episode or something like that, and you want to help keep the thing going and make a one-off payment. Well, you can through PayPal. It's not today at swanburst.com. That's as in a swan swanning around that burst. Not today at swanburst.com. If you want to just slip us a couple of quid to say good job, son. That would be amazing. Everything is seized upon with pathetic gratitude in my unceasing but failing bid for financial solvency. Neil has been in touch on the email. He says, I've just done 50 push-ups. Had to go on the rowing machine. Did a spin class and worked on my glutes. All with the help of an ancient Greek half-man, half-horse. He was a leisure centaur. A leisure centaur. I kill me, he says. Thank you very much, Neil. I really enjoyed that. We did last week. We did hashtag When Teachers Break, and I promised I'd tell you my story about my German teacher. Julie told us an amazing story about. It's worth going back and checking out, to be honest with you, about some japery manifested on her form tutor. My German teacher, Herr Henschel. His name was Herr Henschel, and he wore maroon shirt with maroon tie and white collar. And, kids are... It's sort of like with stand-up comedians. In the time it takes you to walk from the door to the microphone or from the door to the desk if you're a supply teacher, say, kids and audiences, they know, are you going to live or are you going to die? They just know. And we knew. We weren't stupid. We sensed his weakness instantly, and he came in, and he was from Berlin, and we all went in the way you usually did. We just walked into the classroom, sat down, we were probably chatting a bit, and he came in, and we finally ebbed and shut up, and he said, "Why have you come in?" And we were like, "What? You should have lined up outside." We're like, "We didn't know. Nobody told us." "Go and line up outside." So we're like, "Okay, buddy, this is Southeast London." So we all went and lined up outside, and then he let us in. And we all sat down. He was like, "You were not standing behind your chairs. Why were you not standing behind your chairs? Stand behind your chairs." So we were like, "All right, mate." So we all got up and stood behind our chairs, and then he said, "Guten Morgen." And he said, "Now you have to say, 'Guten Morgen, Herr Henschel.'" Right. "Guten Morgen, Herr Henschel." And he said, "Setz euch. You can sit down now." And we sat down, and we were like, "This guy is dead." And in a way, I think that's fair, because, come on. You can't expect people to know rules you've never told them. And we were doing a quiz. We had a test, and these were supposedly the brightest kids in the year. It was kind of streaming in all but name, because you either got to go and do farm studies where you learned how to milk a pig, which I really wanted to do, or you did German, and I was put in the German group, which is kind of annoying. Anyway, they're quite smart kids, but we just had no respect for this guy. And I remember Pete and Dylan were doing sound effects. This was the sound effect. That was Pete was doing that while Dylan was going and merrily sprinkling pubic hair into each other's pencil cases. They had a good time, and someone openly shouted across. It was just bedlam, and this is supposed to be examination conditions, okay? Examination conditions, and it was just bedlam. And someone else was shouting, "Oi, Matt, what's the answer to number 3?" Anyway, I'd had an idea for some japery, which I was too cowardly to do myself. So I was just quietly saying it to somebody else. And I felt this clump on my shoulder. I was like, what the hell was what? And there was another one. And I looked up, and there was Herr Henschel towering over me in his maroon shirt, maroon tie, white collars, and droopy moustache. And he said, "Shut up, what are you doing?" I said, "You just hit me." And he said, "Silence." And I said, "Hang on a minute, you just hit me." And he said, "More silence, more silence." And I said, "You can't have more silence, Herr Henschel, it's an absolute, isn't it?" And he's like, "You shut, this examination." I said, "You just hit me, mate. You are going down." And unfortunately for Herr Henschel, I've mentioned this before, my mother was on the board of parent governors, and a chat was had, in that sort of, can I have a word sort of a way. At the end of the lesson, I remember he was like, "Look, I'm really sorry, I should not have done that, but, Tuesday's really hard for me. It's the hardest day. I have the second years. They are really, really hard." I was like, "Mate, just go back to Germany where people are nice and they behave themselves." Anyway, if you've got a story about a man a long way away from home having a nervous breakdown that we can all laugh at, sorry, bit callous there. Anyway, hashtag when teachers break. It's at NotTodayPod on Twitter, but better probably as an email. It's nottoday@swanburst.com. Or why not tell the story as a voice message on WhatsApp? If you've got a pen there, darling, it's 07862 032 654. That's 07862 032 654. Send it as a voice message and we'll just play it out tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, we have got Martin Kellner coming along with special guest, kind of by request. Looks like 1.5 people on Twitter. Dora Dale. Thanks again to Mic Wright at Broken Bottle Boy. Do follow him. Go and subscribe. It is worth every penny. Genuinely, I am a subscriber and fan. It's kind of the only thing I read regularly. No pressure there, Mick. We'll be back tomorrow at 10. Watch it on YouTube. Why not subscribe now, and then you'll get a little alert if you click on the bell thing. It's Not Today Pod. Bye-bye. This has been a Swanburst Media production.